Hello, my name is Liana Mulholland, and I'm a BAMN organizer from Detroit, Michigan. And Victor and I have been, trying to organize to get a high school BAM chapter here so that we can get the DREAM Act passed and we can build this new civil rights movement so that, there can really be equality for everyone. So first, I just want to say kind of what I've been saying in the high school presentations. It's really been a process to get them to be what they need to be, and it's really been a challenge. And Justin said some things that made me want to say some other stuff, so I'm sort of nervous about that, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I guess basically, being in BAM, that's an organization that exists to find and build leaders. And the fact that everybody's here means you've kind of taken one step towards being a leader. But I feel like it's a decision that you have to make over and over again. And if you're new to BAM, then you're kind of in the process of making the decision. Is this something I want to do seriously? Is this something that I want to, really commit my life to? Do I want to be an organizer? And so I guess just like while you're listening to what I'm saying, I just want people to kind of know that I think, one, because the two DREAM Acts are, up to be passed or vetoed so soon. We're at a really pivotal point in history. That's why we're having our day of action on Monday at Sathergate, at 12. But also because I just think we're in a good position now, even beyond Monday, to really move things forward, to really change history. I don't know what's going to happen with the DREAM Act, with the California DREAM Act. I don't know if we've gotten things to the point that we need to in order to get it passed at the end of the month. Maybe we have, maybe we haven't. And, I don't know what's going to happen when they bring the defense spending bill back and whether we're going to be at the point we need to be to make sure the DREAM Act is still in it and is not weakened. But this is something that is, a longer-term fight, and I think because of, the struggles that we've had on the campus for lower tuition, because of the 2006 marches that have happened here, this is something that we're kind of at a point where we have to do something. You've got that Arizona bill that is legalizing racial profiling, for basically everybody that's Latino, and then, you've got the extreme rise in tuition costs. And so we're kind of at a point where things are going to, go way backwards in terms of people's equal rights to education, and equality in society, or we're going to really take a step forward. And it's not just going to stay the same. We're not just going to be able to sort of make, like maybe if you're poor, if you're a minority, you have to work twice as hard as everyone else to get your education, but you feel like you can do it. But I feel like if we don't do something now, that's just not going to remain true anymore. So when people are deciding like what they're going to do, is this something they're going to really take up in their lives? I want people to think about that. And so, okay, I just feel like the DREAM Act, and whether it passes or not in the long term, it's really a question of whether we're going to have legalized second-class citizens in this society. Like, that's what we had, pre-civil rights movement. We had legalized segregation, legalized separate and unequal, legalized second-class treatment of black people. And the civil rights movement, one, outlawing that type of discrimination by law. Racism still exists. That's something that BAM stands on fighting, but it was a real gain to say that you don't have the legal right to discriminate, against people based on race. And now we have the question of, are we going to have the new Jim Crow now, based on immigration status, based on are you Latino, and are we going to have a new Jim Crow or not? And that's why, in BAM we're like, no, we don't think that's acceptable. And, it's not acceptable that you could go to school like side by side your fellow student, but you get into high school or at the end of middle school, or sometimes somebody tells you or you realize that there's like this expiration date on your education, on your future, that you get to, you know, learn, you get to take AP classes if they're available, you get to really develop yourself to the fullest with all your knowledge and abilities, but not once you graduate. Once you graduate high school, you're stopped because you don't, you know, receive any financial aid, any funding, and pretty much everyone but the wealthiest families has to, you know, receive some kind of financial. Nobody does it on their own. Like, very few percentage of anybody does. And so you're basically just barred. No, you can't go any further. And, you know, we just think that, I just feel like I was really thinking about what Justin was saying, and it's funny because I was thinking about that too. Like, I was actually comparing it in my mind, but I wasn't going to say it, but now I think, I don't know, I like the way he said it, so I agree. I was thinking a lot about how that can be similar to being gay, because you are told that, you know, you're not, like, I feel like if you're undocumented, that means you're being told you're not a legal person, you don't count, you're not in this kind of like bureaucratic system of Social Security, you don't have an ID, you can't drive, like you aren't a legitimate person, like that's what's being told to you. And I feel like, you know, that's true as a gay person. Like, you know, in Detroit, Michigan, in high school, I was out, and that's not something a whole lot of people did at my high school. It's not San Francisco and Detroit. That's just, I mean, there were some out people, but not a whole lot. I didn't know anybody else. It was a big school. I'm sure there was someone, but I didn't know them. And so, you know, I feel like I understand what it means to feel like, you know, to feel like you've got some kind of like thing written on your forehead that makes, you know, you stand out to everybody else. And if you're in the closet, you feel like everyone's gonna somehow find out, and I don't know what you think you're gonna do, but they're gonna do to you, but whatever it is, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna change how they think of you, and then when you are out, then you feel like people are looking at you all the time, and I don't know, like judging you and feeling like, it's like Justin said, like you're some kind of poison, or, you know, and it's gonna spread to other people, or, yeah, and you're just told if you had wanted to get married, then that doesn't count, and your relationships, those aren't real, those don't really count. I think particularly as a woman, as a lesbian, you're told, you know, like your sex doesn't count, everything doesn't count. It's not real. I'm so serious. I can't tell you the number of times that that's been told to me to my face. And so I just feel like, you know, I don't know, I've really had to think here. I mean, Detroit is a really segregated place. It's really oppressed. What, you know, one of our testifiers was describing about Mexico and the school there, I was like, oh, that sounds like Detroit. And so I just feel like, you know, something I've had to learn here is something that our BAM National Co-Chair said to me, and it really, I've been really thinking about it, and it's really reframed things for me, is that she said to me that, you know, leaders like King and in BAM, we are always for and on the side of, and we identify with the oppressed, no matter where they are or who they are. And I really felt like I got that, because I feel like pretty much everybody in this room is an oppressed person in some way. Like, I feel like I am as a gay person, and I really had to fight to be myself all the time. And as a woman, I feel like you just face sexism and fear of violence all the time, like every day, no matter where you are, especially at night. And I just think, you know, in our families, they're so messed up, and nobody's free of it. And it's been such a struggle for me to feel what I need to feel as a leader, because I feel like in my family, expressing any kind of raw emotion, particularly anger, was always treated like a mental illness, like it was dangerous. And, you know, that has implications for my whole life. And so I feel like I've really thought about what Shanta said about, you know, identifying with the oppressed, feeling like that is you. And I feel like I get that now. I've got it, and that is me. And I know that we can't move forward, any of us, if we're saying, you know, if everybody isn't equal, if we're not all fighting together, and we can't move forward that way, we're not going to win that way. And I just feel like to do that, we have to build a movement, and that's what I've really been trying to express to people in my latest version of presentations that I'm always trying to work on, and that, you know, to do that, because the alternative is vote. And I'm like, I got involved in BAM as a high school student. Well, I couldn't vote then, and high school students can't vote. And I'm like, if you're undocumented, you can't ever vote unless you get your citizenship. And voting doesn't work. That's been put on us as the solution for like the past million years. And it's not working. It hasn't worked. It's not going to work. You know, getting some Democrat in office isn't the solution, and it's not going to be. And we have to build independent from that. And I guess everybody in here is here because you're a leader of some sort, or you just wouldn't even be here to even get yourself here. And that is what we need. Like, a movement doesn't just kind of happen. It's not spontaneous. And, you know, so we're here looking for leaders. We're looking for who in this room is going to stick with this, who's going to fight to develop themselves as a leader, because it is hard, and fight with themselves and each other, you know. And so anyway, I just think that at the same time, though, it's completely worth it, because the alternative to that is a life where you feel like everything in the world is just so messed up, and the people in it are messed up, and you can just feel really cynical about it, and just depressed, and feel helpless, and like you can't have any power in your life. But being in a movement makes you feel like you have real social power, power over your life and over the circumstances that you're in, that we're all in. And so the fight to be a leader is really hard. It means working through a lot of crap, but it is completely worth it. And, you know, I just feel like the alternative is terrible, and we just have so much to gain by doing it. And so I just say this to everyone here, new people and people that have been in the movement for a while, because you have to make that decision over and over again. We go back and forth all the time, and yeah, keep making that decision to be a leader, because I think we have to get bigger. But if we can do that and we have the leadership for it, we can just change the whole society, and things don't have to stay this way. So yeah, that's my appeal to everybody.